On today's DNVR Broncos show, we're talking about how the Broncos can turn the heat down because Baker Mayfield is cooking right now. Plus, how does the Broncos offense get jump-started against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense? And we're talking to our guy, Brian Baldinger, and it's starting now. Let's start off with some positivity on this Wednesday and some awesome news just coming down the wire, Todd. Your former teammate, Super Bowl 50 champ, a fantastic person, Demaryius Thomas, has been nominated for the class of 2025 Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, man. I really hope that he gets in. I think it's well-deserved. Was a great player, great human, and I'm so happy that he's still being recognized for all the great things that he has done. So love him, long live DT, and hopefully they make the right decision and get him in quickly.
I totally agree. Let's not wait any longer. Let's get him in. Long live DT. And did you see, speaking of your former teammates that are wide receivers too, did you see Emmanuel Sanders? He was, I don't know what it's called, the flag planting or something, kind of getting the crowd hyped before the game. He was doing that this week at the Broncos game. Did you see what jersey he was wearing?
Yeah. I love that jersey. I thought it was dope, man. Him honoring DT like that. I think just over time, I don't know, it happens with like people forget about people, about things, and so I think that we have to continue to do things that, honor DT and allow people to continue to remember him for who he was as a person. So I love that he wore his jersey and said "Long live DT" on the back. So it was perfect.
Yeah, it really was perfect. And speaking of like making Hall of Fame cases, when typically like players have to reintroduce themselves to the public when they're in the Hall of Fame candidacy, like if you go into media, that's a good way to help your Hall of Fame case. And so you're right, with DT, other people now need to continue to live his legacy and continue to prop him up and show him. So I know the Broncos will probably do a really good job of that. And there were many more Broncos nominated for the Hall of Fame. Let me read you the list. But first, got to welcome you into the DNVR Broncos podcast, live in the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. And of course, we're presented by our partner over at Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 when you sign up to get the deal. So I mentioned, I think like 162 people were nominated for the Hall of Fame today. And of course, that'll be narrowed down over the next couple of months to a much smaller class. DT was nominated. Fellow wide receivers Rod Smith, Brandon Marshall, Wes Welker were nominated. Running back Clinton Portis, offensive lineman Tom Nalen, Mark Schlereth, defensive lineman Neil Smith, linebacker Bill Romanowski, Dre Bly, Jason Elam, and your former teammate Aqib Talib, all nominated today.
Dang, that's a long list of guys.
It is.
That's a lot of them. I think at some point, most nominees get in at some point, right?
Typically, yeah. As long as you're close enough, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think it'll be good to see. It was funny. I was having a conversation with my cousin yesterday, and he was trying to tell me that, I know this is totally unrelated, but that Nick Foles should be in the Hall of Fame.
What?
Isn't that the craziest statement you ever heard?
Just because he won a Super Bowl?
Just because of that year, like that was good enough. I said, bro, you're absolutely out of your mind.
That is wild. So then what do you think about Eli Manning?
That's what I'm saying.
Should he be in?
I mean, he has 2 rings.
So he should be in.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, well, I agree with you.
But
I agree with you on
Nick
both
Foles,
of those.
for sure.
Yeah. I totally agree with both of those. Eli Manning, I mean, you have 2 incredible runs where you take down the dynasty both times, as opposed to just one year. And Eli was also the quarterback for
sure.
What, 15 years or something? Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
but I also do think
he had one good year. Like that's not enough. You got to be able to repeat it. That's crazy.
Did you see Bill Belichick? He's on the Manning cast. I think for the first half of every single Manning cast now. He's joining Peyton and Eli on the Manning cast. And Eli brought up Super Bowl 52 when Nick Foles beat the Patriots, and it just crushed Bill Belichick. And you just saw Bill Belichick melt on national TV.
Yeah. There was a couple years that the Patriots should have won other rings, and they didn't. They didn't get it done.
Would you ever want to play for Bill Belichick?
No, he. I don't know if he was my style of head coach. I think he's a good coach, but I don't know if he was my style of coach.
Yeah. What's your style of head coach?
I don't know. I think I like players coaches. I mean, what player doesn't?
Yeah.
And I like a little bit more fun. I feel like than what I feel like. I don't know for sure, but what I feel like the Patriots locker room was, I like it to be a little more. You know what I'm saying?
And look, you're playing football at the end of the day. You're playing a game now. You're getting paid a lot to play a game, so it is a little more serious, and you're going to get yelled at occasionally. But at the end of the day, like, you're playing a game, and it is work, but it should be fun. So I don't blame you for wanting, like, a comfortable environment to be in, 8 months out of the 12 months of a year that you're in the building every single day?
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that we work any less hard or, don't take it serious, but I think it has to be a good balance.
Yeah.
So people love it coming to work.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. And maybe you've had some experience with coaches that are really fun to come to work for and aren't as fun to come to work for. And speaking of guys that it seems players love, seems like Buccaneers coach Todd Bowles is a guy that players absolutely love. And boy, are they playing for him right now. They've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers rolling off to a 2-0 start. Week 1, they beat down the Commanders, I think 37-20, never a contest. Baker Mayfield was playing out of his mind. Then last week, they were, I think, the biggest underdog in the NFL last week, going into Detroit, 7.5-point dogs. And they don't just cover the spread. They win the game in a much different game than their first week. They win 20-16. Their defense steps up, makes the right plays to keep points off the board for the Lions. And the Broncos are now going into Tampa Bay. What could have been like an 0-2 Tampa Bay team, now a 2-0 team. Their quarterback's cooking. Their defense is playing well. And this is a big challenge the Broncos face this week.
Yeah, I think they were definitely slept on coming into the year. I know myself and a lot of people didn't know if Baker Mayfield could have another year like that.
No.
It was his first year like that ever. And, we kind of questioned them giving him $90 million, but it seems like it's working out. And the scary thing about these two games is that they're winning in different ways. So, now they're finding out that they're a pretty good and well-balanced team. That, hey, if we need the defense to step up, get 2 interceptions and help us win the game, we could do that. If we need Baker to Mayfield to go off and have 4 touchdowns, we can probably do that in the game. That's when you start getting nervous playing certain teams when they're pretty well-balanced.
That's such a good point, Todd. And it reminds me back to just before your time with the Broncos. Payton was with the Broncos for 4 years, obviously won the Super Bowl in 2015, but a lot of people in town, not necessarily in the building, but media that covered the team, think that the 2015 team wasn't the best team in Payton's 4 years. They actually think it was the 2012 team because they had a really good defense, not elite, but really good defense, and obviously a fantastic offense with Peyton Manning. The defense fell off a little bit in 2013 when obviously the offense was the best in NFL history, so it wasn't as balanced. And then obviously when you were on the team in 2015 winning the Super Bowl, the offense was terrible. It made just enough plays when needed to, and the defense was elite. It wasn't a balanced team. 2013 wasn't a balanced team, and 2012 was an extremely balanced team. Great defense, great offense as well. So that, to your point, having that ability to be balanced, not just game in and game out, but where you can change it during games.
Yeah.
You don't always have to rely. Look, defenses, the 2015 defense probably had one bad game that season. And if they had a balanced offense, the offense would have picked up the slack right there. So that's a really good point. This is a team, and they do it in different ways so far. And they've got a lot of talent in their secondary. They've got a lot of talent on offense, specifically at receiver.
Yep.
And let's start with the offense of the Buccaneers and how the Broncos can handle this team and how they attack them. Because you mentioned it, Todd. I certainly did not think that Baker Mayfield was going to be playing this well. I mean, we've seen him have flashes with the Browns. I think his 3 or 4 years with the Browns, he had one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year. I mean, he was as inconsistent as can be. Then that got him tossed to Carolina. Everyone apparently fails in Carolina, so he failed there. Went to the Rams for a little bit. Then he signed last year to take over Tom Brady's big shoes, and he did great. Now, it was like, well, is this because this was like almost a Super Bowl team that he's taken for? He might, outside of a rookie quarterback and a rookie contract, he might be the best value quarterback in the NFL right now. And I thought that $30 million was a little risky to pay. That's like half of what Dak Prescott's making now, and he's playing better than Dak Prescott. So
everybody is.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So how do the Broncos counteract this offense? Let's dive into it after I give a shout out to our friends over at Shady Rays. It is hot out and you need your sunglasses. About halfway to DNVR this morning, I realized, oh no, I don't have my sunglasses, and I'm just going to miss them so much today. And our friends over at Shady Rays would be able to help me if I had them with me. And if you want Shady Rays, you can use the code DNVR to get 35% off their polarized sunglasses. And the awesome thing about this deal is Shady Rays sunglasses are already very affordable. I mean, you look at just other name brand sunglasses, they're 2 to 3 to 4 times more than Shady Rays. And then they're giving you an additional 35% off by using the code DNVR over at shadyrays.com. Whatever type of sunglasses you want, from sporty to cool to going out to even ski goggles, they've got them over at shadyrays.com. Again, use that code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself, because Shady Rays has over 300,000 5-star reviews.
And shout out to our friends over at Toyota. You guys know we love our Toyotas here, and we are brought to you daily from the Toyota Lounge. And Toyota is the official vehicle of the DNVR. And the reason why we love Toyotas is they have a lot of different vehicles. They have so many different vehicles for you to choose from. And some of my favorites are the 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. Toyota's SUVs take command on the road and on trail, so you can explore the road less travel without sacrificing smooth city rides and SUVs like the RAV4 and the Grand Highlander. I mean, there's nothing better than being able to go off-road, on the trail, and be able to get your car muddy and dirty, and then you get it cleaned up and you look fresh enough to ride through the city and drop it off at valet and feel good. So you can go check out a Toyota near you, specifically your Front Range Toyota stores. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain State Toyota in Denver, Stevenson's Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson's Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR.
All right, so really quick before we jump into the Bucks offense, speaking of the balance, they have the 4th best scoring offense, averaging 28.5 points per game, and the 6th best scoring defense, giving up only 18 points per game. That is so rare. Now, that'll probably balance itself out a little bit, but it's very rare to have over a 10-point differential in the NFL. That's very normal for college, but NFL, that is something, and a big part of it is Baker. He's throwing 73.5% completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, 237 yards per game, a league-leading 129.1 passer rating, almost a 70 QBR. He has 55 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. So he's getting it done through the air with his legs. The offense is putting points on the board. And a big reason for this is his weapons are coming to play. His receivers are really helping him. Todd, Mike Godwin has 200 receiving yards in 2 games, 2 touchdowns. Chris Godwin, yeah, I combined the 2. 2 touchdowns. He has 15 catches on 16 targets. So Baker throws it his way, and he's coming down with it. The other guy, Mike Evans, he has 103 yards, 2 touchdowns on 8 catches. So these guys together are just balling out.
Yeah, Mike Evans, I feel like, really doesn't get the credit he deserves. I mean, he's had 1,000 yards every year for the last 10 years.
I think every year he's been in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very hard to do. And he's had a plethora of quarterbacks that still managed to get it done. So he's a top 5 wide receiver in my book. I think he's very talented. And, you know, the 50-50 balls, he's able to go get, and then he's also able to create space. So I think it's going to be a good matchup for Pat because, you know, they're both taller guys, both have a good amount of size. So I think it's going to be a good matchup for Pat. But that receiving core is really, really playing well right now.
Yeah, really playing well. Now, you mentioned Pat and Mike Evans. My question for you is, do the Broncos just have Pat follow Mike Evans all game long? We already saw him do it against DK earlier in the season. So Vance Joseph's willing to do that with Pat, as he should be. Or do you kind of do the opposite and you have Pat follow Chris Godwin all game, and then you double Mike Evans for the entirety of the game, and then you just hope that Pat and you have confidence that Pat's able to take care of Chris?
No, I think that's why you paid Pat to be the number one corner in the NFL. Like, that's his job, is to shut down their best wide receiver one-on-one. And then we double Chris Godwin, not every play, but, if we need to, if Riley Moss, is not having the best game, then he has help.
Yep.
But I think that's why you have Pat Surtain, is that you can just take basically one half of the field, shut that down, and then let everybody else worry about the rest of the field.
Yep, and the good news is the offense isn't that balanced for the Bucks, because what scares you, especially if you have two good receivers, and we're talking about, okay, can you double one pretty much all the time and then leave Pat on an island, and now you have to worry about the run game? You don't really have to worry about the run game with the Buccaneers.
I'm knock on wood with that, 'cause I mean,
very much not.
Every time we bring this up and we say, hey, you know what I'm saying, they're not really a good running team. They go for 150, and then we're like, well.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, Broncos right now giving up an average of 141 yards on the ground.
Man.
So right now, though, the Bucks are averaging 91 rushing yards per game. I would take that in a heartbeat right now. If you said the Bucks are going to have 91 rushing yards, I'd sign up for it right now.
Yeah.
Now, it might mean Baker does some things through the air, but still, I would sign up for that now. Bucky, their second-string running back, is averaging 5.3 yards per carry. So it scares me, because now he only has 16 carries, so maybe they're just giving him only the good opportunities, and he's averaging 5.3 yards per carry. Their starter, Rachaad White, is only averaging 2 yards per carry. So when Bucky's in the game, you just want to pay a little extra attention to him there. But this should be something where you are able to say, okay, big guys up front. I mean, they're paying a lot of money to these guys. Hopefully they have Jonathan Franklin Myers. He has a mild concussion. We probably won't know his status right until Friday or even game day.
Yeah.
But this is the big guys up front. You handle the run game, because if I'm Vance, I'm using all my other resources outside of Alex, who can play the run game as well, on this passing game. And if the run game beats you, man, that's really going to stink. But, like, if Baker goes out and throws 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are eating, well, I mean, come on. You should have expected that.
Yeah, I think that you're 100% right. I think that we have to make them one-dimensional, and for them, I think we need to make them run the football. And I think it's tough when you have a rookie quarterback, man. The last thing you want to do is see, when you throw the ball, you can score so quickly. Yeah. And if you let Baker march down the field and we're down 14-0, I mean, I feel like that might be game over. You know what I'm saying? So I'd much rather them, make them run the ball, even if it takes more time off the clock, even if they have, a little bit more time of possession than we do. I think it keeps us in the game rather than just allowing them to throw the ball and hit open targets and make plays and then all of a sudden run up the score. We don't want that.
No, we don't want that. And something that the Broncos are going to have in order to combat that quick 14-0 start is a pass rush, too. And look, Aiden Hutchinson might be the defensive player of the year early on. We're very early in the season, but he's been a monster these first 2 games for Detroit, and he was a monster against the Tampa Bay Bucks last week. So we know that there can be success. Baker has been sacked 6 times. Mm-hmm. That's actually the stat that Bo is beating Baker in right now. Bo's only been sacked 4 times. Baker's been sacked 6 times. For him playing so well, that's a little surprising. 6 sacks, 3 sacks a game. It's probably a little more than the Bucks want. So in order to help the Riley Moss specifically, to help him out and to slow their passing attack down, there has to be a pass rush. And Todd, am I crazy asking that to come from Jonah Ellis, who's a rookie, who's playing in his 3rd game in the NFL?
Not at all. I think that's what he does best. You look at what he did in college and how he was able to rack up sacks. And even, yesterday we went through the play with him and Zach Allen, and he just naturally was able to get to the quarterback. I think that's one of the things that he's best at. So why not? I think that's why they brought him in, is to be a pass rusher. Not that he can't play the run, or not that he's, you know what I'm saying, didn't bring him in because he's balanced. I think he's a better pass rusher than anything. So let him hunt.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And that combo that you mentioned, Zach Allen and Jonah Ellis, those guys have been the most productive,
For sure.
and along with Jonathan Cooper. So maybe you can ask Coop for it as well. But Baron Browning's hurt right now. And if he has a foot injury, we don't know exactly his status, but some potential bad news for him is the Broncos have signed Andrew Farmer, an outside linebacker, to their practice squad. They promoted DeAndre Tillman to their 53-man roster. He's an outside linebacker. And that probably doesn't mean good news for Baron Browning's foot injury. Maybe it's because they're putting Mike McGlinchey on IR. We'll probably find out later today. But my guess is probably not the best news for Baron Browning. So who steps up in that starting role outside of Jonathan Cooper? Is it Jonah Ellis or is it Nick Bonito? I'm probably going with Jonah Ellis, even though he is a rookie right now.
Yeah. Ooh, that's tough. Because I think Jonah usually plays primarily on the other side. So it's a little bit of switching like from Sam to Will, but can he get it done? I absolutely think he can get it done. It's just a matter of like making sure you understand when you hear the call. When the Sam was rushing, now you're the Will, you got to make sure you drop. Like, it's just all those little key details.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's one more thing, too, with this Bucks offense. The good news is their receiving weapons drop off completely after those two, at least so far this season. Their third leading receiver is their running back, Rashard White. So he's a threat coming out of the backfield. You can't let him go off, but there's not like a tight end. In fact, their tight end, I think, has 6 receiving yards right now on the season.
How many do R have? 7.
Maybe as many drops as that receiving yards. Yeah, I actually might take the Broncos, not the group, but the receiving yards right now over them. But, I mean, to be fair to Baker, he's like, why would I throw to anyone else but Chris Godwin when he's 100 yards per game right now?
Yeah.
And then Mike Evans, a constant 1,000-yard receiver. So you really can't let those two guys beat you. And you double Chris, you put Pat on Mike Evans, and hey, if that beats you, you'd probably just tip your cap to them. And I know that some people are down on Pat because of some penalties right now. He had 6 penalties all of last season.
Yeah.
I think he's been called for 5 now. One of those has been on special teams. These 2 games are clearly just an anomaly. It's not what's going to continue to happen. If you look at everything else besides his penalties, he's been great. I mean, he held DK to 3 catches on 4 targets for 29 yards. Last week, he was great in shutting down the pass game as well. So I'm not worried about Pat one bit. And if there is a cornerback in the NFL that can match up against a big, physical, tall, savvy, smart Mike Evans, it's Pat Surtain.
Yeah, I mean, we can't have a game like we're human. Like, everyone has a game, and sometimes there's questionable calls. So let's say he has 5, maybe 2 of them were real. The other 3 were questionable. Not, like, let's be real, people. You know what I'm saying? You're not even 100% at your job. You make mistakes all the time. I'm pointing at the camera. You make mistakes all the time. You know what I'm saying? Somebody orders, a Chick-fil-A sandwich with no cheese, you give them cheese. We don't come back to your job screaming, you know what I'm saying? But I think we got to cut some people some slack, man. Come on.
It's such a good point. Could you imagine if those workers in Chick-fil-A were on national TV?
Oh, my gosh. Somebody commentating, they gave him cheese again. This guy is trash.
It's so true. Speaking of commentators, I was at the game, so wasn't watching the game. Did you see when the cameras this past week caught Bo Nix calling a play call in the huddle, and it was literally like 15 seconds long, and he's looking down at his wristband mid-play call. Oh, man, that was I think that was a tough look on kind of the offensive operation. And then because it was so long, they got to the line with like 7 seconds left. Bo's trying to make the right checks, and then they just have to burn a timeout.
Yeah. I've never understood, like, why the play calls are so long. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, I know there's like a number system in football for as far as routes go.
Yep.
And I feel like if the team can't hear you, just call out numerically, like from left to right. 9:43. You run a 9, you run a 4, you run a 3. Everybody else just block, and we make it like, you know what I'm saying? I think it could be simple, but they make it so complex.
They make it so complex, and I mean,
know why.
Yeah, John Gruden was always famous on Monday Night Football for saying ridiculous play calls. We've heard some of Sean Payton's play calls to Drew Brees in the past, and they literally go on from 5 to 10 seconds, and it's so many different words. Todd, can you give me a defensive play call? Because you were the play caller. You were the guy that relayed the plays. You had the green dot. Can you relay what a defensive play call is?
We'll wing 6. We're playing cover 6. The wheel is rushing. That means the Sam is dropping, and we're playing cover 6. That means we're playing half to the weak side, quarter strong. That's it. That's all you need.
Wait, so what is it?
Just will wing 6. You're
Will
playing
wing
cover
6. Wow.
You're in the base front. The wheel is rushing. The Sam is dropping, and we're playing cover 6.
And everyone knows what to do.
Everybody's set.
Just like that. So, yeah, why can't it be the same for the offense where there's an offensive line call and then the wide receivers, you know, boom.
And if you want something, you know, like just, okay, we're running power right. Just say 22 power right. You want the Y on, you just say Y on. You want the Y off, just say Y off. Like, could be very simple, but they make it super complex.
They make it so complex, just ridiculous. And I do get it with Sean when he's with Drew for 15 or 13 years or something. Year 4, year 7, year 10, year 13, you can add more to it. And then for Drew, it just becomes natural. But how often, not just with Sean, how often in the NFL do you get a play caller that's with a quarterback for 5, 10, 15 years, yet everyone is doing this? So this isn't just a Sean Payton thing. This is like an entire NFL thing where it's just like, man, why are we making things more complicated?
And I would get it if like we're trying to be secretive, like having code words and long words, and they'll have like Dodger and that'll mean something, and Dakota means something else. Like they need all these secret code words. We can only hear each other. Like the defense can't hear what you're calling. You know what I'm saying? They're not in my mic.
Yeah.
So let's just keep it simple so I can get it out to the players, and we can run plays as quickly as possible.
I mean, it's even like you guys don't even have to huddle on defense because it's so easy and you can just yell it to everyone.
Well, it's not easy, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. It's not easy. I don't want to say it's easy.
We just make it make sense on this side of the ball, you know?
That's very true. Then when you see the offense, you have to adjust to their formation and everything like that. So, no, it's not easy at all, Todd. Not easy at all. All right, let's jump to the defensive side of the ball for the Buccaneers and the Broncos offense. But first, we're going to talk to our friend Brian Baldinger to get his insight on what's going on with the Broncos. And first, before we get to Baldy, I want to give a shout out to our friends over Westera Credit Union, where they are all about Colorado. They were founded right here in Colorado in 1934, 90 years ago. They've got 9 locations in the Denver metro area, and they are celebrating their 90th anniversary by launching the 90th anniversary CD that offers 9% annual percentage yield. That's right, 9%, which is unheard of, annual percentage yield on a 5-month certificate of deposit, otherwise known as CDs. And you can start earning high interest on balances as low as $500 and a max of $3,000. They're insured by the NCUA, and they're all about helping their members financially prosper. Education is their thing because they were founded by a group of 8 school teachers, so they want to help people. That's part of their DNA, is educating and helping. So if you want to get this, it's a limited time offer. Head to westeracu.com to learn more. That's Westera, the letter C, the letter U.com to learn more. Early withdrawing penalties apply. Fees could reduce earnings. Rates are accurate as of September 1st, 2024. New money and in-branch offer only. Limited time offer. Subject to change without notice. Review membership account agreement. Disclosures and information guide for additional details. Membership eligibility required. Insured by NCUA.
And shout out to UC Health and their new Ready, Set, Co challenge. Coach Prime is helping UC Health, and they want to help you and other Coloradians be your healthiest selves as the Chief Motivation Officer for UC Health's Ready, Set, Co challenge. The goal of the challenge is to get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state. And this specific topic is very important to me because right now we're going to talk about sleep. And that is something I have not been getting because I have a 5-week-old baby at home, so I can let you know what happens when you don't get sleep. So if my arteries get a little funky or my tongue is twisted and tied, it's because I'm not getting enough sleep. So you don't want to sleep on sleep. 8 hours of sleep is the magic number. That's when you're supposed to be well rested and at your best for the next day. You can make a good night's sleep your priority. Put your phone down when you go to bed. Try and close your eyes when you relax. A lot of the blue light from your phone is like telling your body to stay up and stay awake, so you don't want that affecting how well you sleep. So if you want to join UC Health's Ready, Set, Go challenge, click the link in the show notes or go to www.uchealth.org/Ready, Set, Go.
Todd, I don't know if anyone has made this up before, but you might have just made up like the most perfect thing for your health. Don't sleep on sleep.
Don't sleep on sleep.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like the society's starting to come around to that, but I feel like specifically sports are coming around on that, because I feel like in the past, especially in an NFL season where it's a condensed season compared to other leagues, 17 games, they want you to grind. They want you to be working out. They want you to be studying film all the time, and didn't prioritize sleep for a long time. I feel like now teams are like giving players sleep trackers to make sure that they're getting 8 hours of sleep. Did you notice that when you were in the league?
Yeah, I think that started to come into the league like as I was exiting. So while I was there, we were still getting 3 or 4 hours of sleep.
Oh my gosh.
Training camp, even Sean this year, he made the training camp schedule specifically so that guys could like sleep in, like make sure you get enough sleep and you can sleep in. That's why their practices started later in the day, like 10 o'clock, as opposed to like most training camps. You get there at 7 or 6 and your day gets started. So they're definitely putting a big importance on getting enough sleep and, good sleep.
When's the focus going to change to coaches getting good sleep too?
I don't know if that's
enough
ever.
Sleep.
I don't know if that's ever. And I was, they had a sleep therapist in the building, and she gave a speech, and I was like, isn't sleep important, like for coaches too? I'm trying to push the narrative. Like if I'm on staff, I don't necessarily want to be here till 3 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? We got to prioritize our sleep, so we could be good too. I don't know if it went over too well, but I had to ask.
I mean, it's so true, because it's not just for the physical well-being, which is important to really help your body restore after long days of working out, but also for the mental parts. And it's just, I think it was Tony Dungy when Peyton Manning was with them. He made sure that no coach was there like past 5 p.m. or something wild, which is just so different from every NFL team.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a plan to me. I mean, I can't go work for Tony Dungy. He's retired, but that sounds like a good plan. Because I honestly feel like we should be able to put together a game plan, quicker than like 6 in the morning. I would hope, you know what I'm saying? But it's not my job. It's not what I do. But I would think that, you know what I'm saying, if we put our brains together, it's 15 of us in the room, we should be able to get it done.
Now, what also happens is I think there's a lot of overthinking that happens in NFL buildings because they just spend too much time. Maybe they have a good game plan initially, but then they just overthink it to where then it's diluted and they change it and they overthink it. But one of the things, too, is, especially with the Walton Penner Group, there's no salary cap on coaches. Why not just hire double the coaches?
I don't know. Is there a limit on how many coaches you can have?
I don't think so.
I thought there was. Hank told me there was.
In the NFL, I don't think so, because that's why, like, you see the Broncos, they've never had a pass game coordinator or run game coordinator, all of those things. And now they have them because Sean's just trying to find a way to get all of his guys in there. And so he's just giving them all of these different titles.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That would have been, Maybe there's no limit.
I don't, and that's
Just have
like
50 coaches.
Yeah, it definitely should be. Maybe in other sports there is, but I'm pretty sure in the NFL there is not anything like that. And that's kind of a perk that the Broncos have. They can spend as much as they want on coaches. They can spend as much as they want on a new stadium. They can spend as much as they want on chefs. They can spend as much as they want on a new headquarters, just like they're doing.
As much as they want on anything.
Exactly, except the salary cap. That's the only thing that restrains it. Everything else, they can do whatever they want. And they pretty much are doing whatever they want.
How frustrated would you be, like, not only in your job but in your life, like, there's nothing I can't do, but there's this one little piece where they're saying, like, no, you can't do that. You're like, who do I need to pay to get this done? Like,
it's
come
so
on.
true.
This is crazy.
There's no salary cap with how much you can pay your head coach.
Yep.
So, like, literally everything the Broncos ownership can just spend endless money on, they pretty much are doing. Like, did you see their See You Sunday campaign where they spent just a ridiculous amount of money putting billboards across to hype up the town, to hype up the first game of the season? They sent like these lockers out to influencers, including Peyton
cool.
Manning and stuff.
Yeah.
That was just like the marketing team said, "Can we do this?" And the ownership was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Probably cost them tens of thousands, if not like hundreds of thousands of dollars, just to hype up the first game of the season. You think Broncos fans were already hyped for the first game of the season?
Yep.
Did they need to do that?
No, but I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I agree.
And when you have money to where, like, I'm not looking for this NFL check anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So let's just make it the best experience we can. And then down the road when we sell the team, you know what I'm saying? The team's already almost doubled in value since we bought it. Like, that's what we're saving the team for. It's not really just like the $100 million I make this year. That's nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's so true.
There's no limit at all. You can have as many coaches as you want.
Yeah.
It all depends how much you want to spend on coaches.
Yep.
That's what it's based off of.
And a lot of owners, don't have cash for it, which is wild that an NFL team wouldn't have cash, but the value of their organization's going up, but the cash just isn't there for the team. That's not an issue with the Broncos at all. In fact, it might have been an issue with the Broncos 10 years ago, and sometimes that impacted roster moves. It's not an issue at all. Do we have Baldy here? Okay, still waiting on Baldy. But it's just such a big advantage that the Broncos have that's not talked about probably enough with how big of an advantage it is.
I mean, yeah, best owners in football, richest owners in football, best city in football. I mean, where else would you want to be besides Colorado? You know?
So true. It's so true. Okay, when we wait for Baldy, let's talk. Let's get into our conversation about the defensive side of the ball for the Bucks, and if this is a week that the Broncos can get jump started on offense. This defense, Todd, is interesting to me because they give up a lot of yards.
Yeah.
And last week, the Detroit Lions put up over 470 yards on this Bucks defense. That is way too many yards for a defense to give up. But they held them to 16 points. 16 points is great, but that's like unheard of when you're giving up over 400 yards. This is like an opportunistic defense where so far in the season, they are as bend but don't break as you can get.
Yeah, they just play what they play and they wait for you to make a mistake. And it's been working out well for them. 400 yards, that's at least, 28 points.
Yeah.
Like, you should definitely put up some big numbers when you're putting up that many. And that's one thing I saw looking at their stats is that it's weird, but they're not like blowing teams out the water like statistically. But, I mean, they did the Commanders.
Yeah.
But, like, if you look at the average over the year, like, they're not blowing them out between the two games.
No.
It's just that they're finding ways to win these games.
Yeah, 100%. You can run the ball against them. You can pass the ball against them. They're giving up nearly 250 passing yards per game. Jared Goff had no issue slinging the ball around. I think he had 350 passing yards last week. But here's the thing, is they are really good in the red zone and not letting teams get in. Also, their run defense average. I said the Broncos are giving up 141 yards on the ground on defense, which isn't the best. The Bucks are giving up 138 yards on the ground. So this, even though it seems like the Bucks defense is really good, the Broncos really should be able to find success on the ground. And Todd, for me, that's where it starts for the Broncos this week. They have to run the ball. And if they're not going to be able to run the ball, they're not going to be able to pass the ball. They're not going to be able to do anything. So if they want Bo Nix to get jump-started, if they want this offense to get moving, it starts with running the ball this week and weeks moving forward. But the good news is they can run the ball against this Bucks team.
Yes, they can. And so I know they're giving up 138 yards. And I think that our team has struggled with running the ball. So I'm not going to ask for them to have 138 yards. Just have over 100 yards rushing.
Yep.
Have balance to our offense. Have Javonte and Jaleel get rolling, get hot. And our offensive line, block well. I know that we're missing McGlinchey, one of our better, run blockers. But we need you guys to come together as a unit and just move people out the way, because like you said, if we're going to be successful at any point throughout the season, you have to have a running attack. And this is a great game to get it started, because, within football, I think things kind of like roll downhill. Like once you catch a groove, like even if you go back to that 5-game winning streak we had in the middle of the season, some of those games we shouldn't have won just because of the teams we were playing, but we were already on a roll. Like, you can't stop the ball from rolling sometimes when it gets going. So I feel like this is a great game for us to get the ball rolling with our, rushing attack, and then hopefully it just spills over to the Jets game, spills over to the Raiders game, and we just kind of catch our groove.
Yeah, 100%. And good news for that is it does not look like Vita Vea, their star defensive lineman, is going to play. Looks like he's still going to be out with an injury. And then, Todd, we talk about, or at least with this Broncos team, we've talked about often how the 3-and-outs on offense, when the Broncos offense has a 3-and-out, how that really hurts the Broncos defense because they're on the sideline for 2 minutes trying to catch their breath, get a drink of water, look at film, and then they have to go back on the field. And so they're not able to mentally catch up and adjust to what's going on, and then physically they're tired. Well, that also happens with the reverse with the Bucks defense, or with the opposing team's defense. Is if it's 3-and-outs all the time, the pass rushers are as fresh as can be. Especially the big guys up front are as fresh as can be. But once you get 2 first downs and the drive is getting to 7-8 plays, you're not even in the red zone yet. You're at midfield. And now that opposing defense, there's no way pass rushers can still be going 100% on plays 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of a drive. That helps everyone. And then the big boys, specifically the big boys up front, are getting tired as well. And then that's just when offensive linemen eat. And that's why when, like, the Broncos have 7 3-and-outs against Seattle or whatever it was, and they have, like, 4 out of 5 in drives last week, it's just like, man, you're not only not putting up points, but you're making your defense weaker. You're making their defense stronger. And that's why I just think it starts with the run, but don't be afraid. A 2nd and 7 isn't a bad spot to be in. It's not a great spot to be in, but let's say you get 3 yards on first down, run it again and get 3 more yards. Then it's 3rd and 4. Then you're at least keeping the defense on their toes for if a run or a pass is coming.
Yeah, and I think that the best thing for offense is to just be on the field and have long drives, because everything that an offense does in a drive, technically, I feel like it's easier than what the defense has to do to counteract them from having a good play. Now, I say that, I mean, like, if you're pass protecting, kicking back and pass blocking is much easier and less strenuous than rushing the passer. It takes more effort, more intensity, getting off the ball. It's a lot harder to rush the passer than it is to pass protect. So you get guys in there, like you said, rushing the passer, you're going to get tired. Then all of a sudden we run the ball, and it's easier to, like, push your body and lay on somebody as opposed to, like, trying to get this guy off. I got to shed, and now I got to try and make the tackle. Like, those are much more strenuous for the defense to do. So the longer the plays go on, it's like the offense does get fresher, and they rotate a lot more than defenses do. So once the D-line gets tired, you bring in new running backs, you bring in a new wide receiver, you take a shot. I think it's just a much better position to be in for offense if you can extend drives. Like, it's great to score, in 2 or 3 plays, but I think it's better for the game long term to actually have like 8, 9, 10 play drives to really keep your foot on the defense's neck.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And man, it gives me even more respect and more credit to that 2015 defense, because you guys were elite. And you were an elite in really tough circumstances, because the offense wasn't helping you out, and the offense wasn't giving you good field position, and the offense wasn't scoring points. So you had to do all of that. But then also the offense wasn't really driving down the field, and you were on the sideline for such a short time, and then you had to jump right back on. And now that happened again in 2016, 2017, when the defense was still very, very good. But maybe that's when a little bit of wear and tear throughout the years started hitting a little bit. But man, even more respect for that elite defense.
Well, we did what we could, man. You know what I'm saying? We're just here to help.
Well, you certainly did enough, because that led to many wins and a Super Bowl ring as well. Okay, let's keep this conversation going. I'm not sure if we're going to get our guy Baldy joining us today, but that's just showbiz, Todd. So we'll continue to have this conversation after I give a shout out to our friends over at Coors Light. We've got Coors Light on set today, and we love Coors Light. It's the middle of the week. If you want to chill after Wednesday, you got to give our friends over at Coors Light a try because Coors Light is all about chilling. It's brewed chilled, it's bottled chilled, it's served chilled, and it's even, but the bottles are even chilled, and they'll let you know when it's a perfect temperature to drink because the mountains on the cans and the bottles will turn blue when it's just the right amount of chilled. And if you want Coors Light delivered to you so you can chill after a long week of work, you want to chill with your friends, you want to chill from the weather, Coors Light is the beer that we reach for at DNVR, and you should as well. Go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR to get it delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Make the most out of times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
And shout out to Empire Today. Head to EmpireToday.com/DNVR to get the best flooring that you ever have and ever will see. We got a new little bobblehead. I don't know if you guys can see it. Shout out to Empire Today. They keep us fresh. You know what I'm saying?
Does he have a
the
name?
phone number.
That's probably the Emperor. If it's
Empire Today is his name.
Empire Today.
And they definitely want to keep you covered and keep your floors covered. They have a lot of great materials for you to choose from. And what's great about them is they have a virtual floor designer so you can see what your new floors will look like in your home before you purchase anything. It's a great product. You just snap a picture and you can swap out carpet, tile, wood, and be able to see exactly what you're purchasing and how it's going to look in your home. You want to head to EmpireToday.com/DNVR, and all listeners can get $350 off other discount when they use code DNVR. Remember, restrictions apply. Head to Empire Today. They can't be beat. You won't be disappointed.
And shout out to our friends over at Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Shout out to the Toyota chat. Lot of people chiming in, including a lot of OGs. Shout out to our guy Cody for chiming in. Daniel, H-Town Bronco, DeAndre, Noah, Jose, of course. We got Boss, AJS chiming in too. We really appreciate everyone who's chiming in with us. Hit us with a thumbs up. Helps us a ton. Subscribe. Turn on alerts so that you know when we're going live all the time as well. Todd, I have some potential great news for this game. Broncos obviously are going to be without Mike McGlinchey. We talked about that in depth yesterday, just how big of a deal that is, who's going to replace him. But the good news is for this game, Bucks defense is good. They don't have a pass rush, though, right now. Shaq Barrett left them after last year, signed with the Dolphins, then retired. Might have been their best pass rusher, at least in terms of talent. I know he had fallen off in terms of sacks over the last couple of years, but he was probably still their biggest threat. Don't have to worry about him now. They have 2 sacks on the season. 2 sacks. That's 1 in each game.
Yep.
That's an average of 17 per season, which would just be dismal. That would be such a terrible performance from any defense, only getting 17 sacks. But my question is, can the Broncos take that for granted this week, or do they still have to give Alex Palczewski or Matt Pert a lot of help this week?
100%.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can. Not that Palczewski or Pert is not good. I think no matter what, there is a little bit of a distance between the starters and the backups. So you still are going against starters. These guys are still talented, and I think that our guys are going to come in and play well. But I think they should get help just because it's really going to be like early on the season, first time starting. This year, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? I don't really care who you're playing. Like, give them guys some help just so they feel comfortable, no matter what.
I couldn't agree more. Don't overthink this, Sean Payton, Joe Lombardi, and the Broncos offensive staff. If they get into the weeds and they're like, man, they don't have a good pass rush, we can leave Palczewski or Pert on an island. No.
Yeah.
I'm so with you, Todd. Devote just as much resources as you would, specifically just for this first game. Then let's say one of these guys really holds up next week against the Jets. You still give them help, but maybe not as much. You can see what they can handle, but not this game. Because if you get beat at your right tackle spot this game, that's shame on the coaching staff for not giving this guy help. And whoever it is going to need help. Either Matt Pert, who has played some right tackle, but with the Broncos, he's really only been on the left side. So he's, for months now, he's really only been on the left side. He's new to the right side for right now. And then Palczewski played in 2 NFL snaps so far. Both of those guys need the help they can get. And Todd, from your experience, do coaches give inexperienced guys that are filling in for an injured guy, do they give them extra help? Or is it the next man up philosophy where it's next man up, you better do exactly what your guy ahead of you did?
No, I think they give them help.
Good.
I think they make it easier on them. I like to think they made it easier on me my first couple games starting.
Maybe you're just that good.
You know.
I still remember TJ Ward talking about your first time out there too at the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
But he didn't help me. That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they didn't give me any help. You know what I'm saying? He just sat back and let me die out there trying to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I guess my answer to that question is I don't know if they give us help or not. Because I was for sure hurting. I forgot about that game. Thank you.
Wait, did you hear? Remind us of the story.
TJ Watt was just saying that Todd came into the huddle and he was all snotty saying, hey guys, running a play. They had to grab him, calm him down, and be like, get your plays out first and then we'll go from there.
You just get caught up. You know, it's funny because like I had older vets to hear my rookie stories. I need to hear their rookie stories. I got to go back to the Browns.
Yes.
I got to call the Browns front office and be like, what happened with TJ's first game? You know what I'm saying? I got to get some dirt. Because I know every rookie has it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
You should
Not the only one.
next, we should talk about Josie's first game too.
Everybody,
just kind of
yeah.
go through all the linebackers that you've played with.
Yeah.
Especially when you're stepping into that defense and you're in the middle of that defense and it's DeMarcus Ware, it's Von Miller, it's Derek Wolfe, it's Aqib Talib, Chris Harris, TJ Ward, Darian Stewart. That's a pretty intimidating spot to be in.
And it's not even like I had been there. I had just got there. Like that was like I had been there for 2 weeks from the Saints.
And also,
like I
you're
don't
like-
even know. We don't even have a relationship yet.
Yeah,
and I'm
you're
like, and if I mess up, I think they're like, oh, we got to get him out of here. You know what I'm saying?
And it's also like you're at altitude. You're like still trying to adjust to all that
Trying to
kind
get
of
it all
stuff.
figured
Like,
out, man.
I still remember that story though. I actually have it saved on my computer.
Oh, that's
Oh, my
amazing.
He's gonna keep that around just to humble me. Is that what it is?
Exactly. Oh, I love that. Let's hop into the comment section right now. And before we do, Todd, any final thoughts on this Bucks game? Of course, we're going to give our picks and continue to break it down tomorrow, but just any final thoughts to wrap up this conversation?
No, I think this is a game that the Broncos should want to play offensively and defensively. There are ways to find matchups and get wins in this game. No game is out of reach, but I think there's definitely things that the Bucks do that the Broncos can take advantage of. So I'm excited to see the matchup. We haven't been perfect, but any given Sunday, you know, we're just waiting for it to click for Bo. And, you know, we never know when it's going to click, but we know it's coming and it's on the way. So hopefully it's this Sunday.
I love that. And yeah, my kind of feeling is I'm not as worried about this game as I was before kind of diving into the tape and the numbers and looking at who the Bucks truly are. I still think that they should be underdogs in this game, and we'll give our picks tomorrow. But it's more winnable than I thought. And that's important because going to a 0-3 hole, then you go to the Jets in New York going 0-4. That's really tough to climb out of. So not saying they're going to win. We'll give our predictions tomorrow, but I do think this is more winnable than it seems on the surface. At least we should see life from the offense this week. They should be able to move the ball. Points, we'll see because the Bucks are really good in the red zone, but they should be able to move the ball. We should see some hope.
And I feel like this is a really good game to win because as far as their schedule goes, from what I know, they're not coming home. They're
Nope.
going to
West Virginia.
West Virginia and then to the Jets. So, I mean, it'd be good for morale since you're going to be away from your family for a whole week. It's good to, you know, start with a win and hopefully that leads to another win. You don't want to lose and then be in some dorm room in West Virginia and you're like, golly, we got to play again.
Yeah.
So I think it's good, you know, to get a win this week.
It's such a good point. And yeah, Sean did announce that earlier this week. The Broncos playing in Tampa.
Yep.
Then they're going to West Virginia next week for the entire week. They're not coming home. Practicing on the East Coast, and then they're going straight to New York to play the game, and then they're coming home. Did you ever do this in the NFL? You only
no,
would have
I
done it
feel
with
like
Sean.
No, I
that
didn't do it.
first season.
We went to West Virginia for training camp. So where
Yep.
they're staying is where
Yep.
we had training camp at the Greenbrier.
Pretty nice place.
Very nice place, but there's nothing around it. Like I don't know what they're gonna do for food. They better just, you know what I'm saying, Pizza Hut and wings. So hopefully they have energy to play the Jets. But I don't think so. I think there was talk about doing it one year, but I don't think we ever did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is something where I talked to some people that have been with the Broncos for 20, 25 years, and they said the Broncos have never done this, at least in that time period.
Yeah.
So this is a Sean Payton thing, and he actually asked for it. When schedules are being put together by the league, you can request certain things. The league can say, go F yourself, we're not giving you that. But he asked for 2 road games on the East Coast, back-to-back weeks, so that they could do this. And it's such a good point. Man, this could be the game to win to then build momentum because you literally will be with the team and your teammates. Otherwise, man, you might start just like be thinking about what's next after this year, even though it's only week 3, but you're on the road. So this is a big one. It's a great point, Todd. All right, let's dive into the Super Chats. First one coming in from James Todd, who says, last time we were in Florida for week 3, things didn't go so well. Hoping history doesn't repeat itself. You remember the last Florida week 3 game, Todd?
Nope.
70-20.
Oh, that is Florida. Miami is definitely Florida.
Do you remember the last time a rookie started in Tampa for the Broncos at QB?
I think I know.
Nope.
Well, not started, but played.
Yeah, played Tim Tebow.
Nope.
No?
Paxton Lynch. That was the Typhoon.
That was we won that game though.
No, but do you remember the last time a rookie started down there?
Oh yeah, that was a good
Right.
game. We were whooping them, and then they kind of came back after the storm and all that. But yeah,
You're
I remember
right. Yeah, and that was
Paxton
week
Lynch.
5 or something.
Around
week 4,
there.
right?
Jameis
around this
Winston.
time.
that.
Yeah. And that was there was a lightning delay. You guys ate the dub, right?
No,
No,
we
did.
just got the dub.
Oh yeah. You got that. Oh man, would you like Jameis as a teammate?
I don't know. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure he's a good guy. I'm not going to talk bad about him. I don't know him. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
fair. From a media perspective, I would love to cover him because he just seems like the goofiest, craziest,
Super
funnest guy.
some guys are just quotable. Just have that,
He
you know what I'm
certainly
saying?
is. Kenneth chimes in and says, Zach, can you talk about how you craft the questions you ask at the podium? Sean often answers before the full question is asked. You do a great job. Well, thank you so much, Kenneth. Sometimes questions just come about on the fly during a press conference, and sometimes you think about it days beforehand, write them down, or you just think of them. And Sean is, when he understands where you're going with a question, or he kind of wants you to stop right there and wants to answer that part of the question, he'll just jump in and what are you gonna do? You're gonna fight Sean Payton? Not even Sean. Are you gonna fight
tell him,
any
I'm not
coach?
done. I'm not done.
No, I'm just gonna let him answer there. Especially we know, especially Kenneth, you since you listen to press conferences, listen very closely, and if you can start putting together certain reporters' questions with how Sean answers it, you'll see kind of a flow. He certainly likes some people more than others, which is just human nature.
Yes.
That's natural.
100%.
Thank you for the question. Thanks for the support there, Kenneth. And Douglas McClure comes in and says, if Zach Wilson is elevated to number 2, Bo's leash is shortened.
You agree or disagree?
If they elevate Zach Wilson to number 2, yeah.
I don't see it happening.
I would agree. I don't see that happening either, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is a big if. But Douglas, I would agree with you. And
If that happens.
I wonder if that will ever happen. Because honestly, Todd,
Never say never.
honestly, Todd, I don't think Bo should be pulled at
No,
all this
he
year. This
can't.
season is all about finding out what Bo is and give him all 17 games.
Yeah.
And if the last 4 games of the season, you see no development, and it's just as bad as these final 2 games have been, okay, this season you found out that Bo's probably not the guy because a 17-game sample size, you see nothing. To me, that's enough to say, okay, we need another quarterback next year. I don't think that's going to be the case, but that's why you leave him in all 17 games. If you pull him after 10, that midway through his rookie season might be when he starts to figure things out. And that's when you need to see if he's figuring things out. So pulling him, to me, is not an option this year.
Not at all. I mean, they let Bryce Young play all 17 games, including the 2 to start this season before they decided, hey, this is not going to work out. Because some people need time. Peyton Manning needed to throw as many interceptions as he did in his rookie year to then go on to have the career he did. So like we said, there should be no reason that Bo is not starting for the Broncos the entire year this year.
No, 100%. Touch wood on that, because if he does get injured,
What?
then
No.
no. Put
don't
Zach
even-
Wilson in then.
I didn't want him to say it, guys, but he said it.
Why?
I don't know. We just don't want to speak it. You know
I
what I'm
thought you
saying?
would. I'm good. We're good.
Okay.
All right, we'll end by circling back to saying long live DT. Let's get him in the Hall of Fame. And shout out to Aqib Talib, Rod Smith, Wes Welker, Neil Smith, so many other Broncos that are nominated. Congratulations. We'll be back tomorrow to break down this game even more, give our final picks, and a very interesting question that I want you to think about, Todd. When will the Broncos get their first win of the season? Will it be this week? When is it? We'll answer it tomorrow. Have a great Wednesday.
We all silly like the mayor.